Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means.
Hey, Ashley!
Hey, yeah! Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Yay, me! Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from right here at the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California, and we are so glad you decided to join us on this Monday.
Also at the giddy table is writer-director John Schnepp.
Hello, Monday.
And also here, one half of Schmoes Know, Christian Harloff.
I want some of whatever it is everyone is drinking at this table. Congratulations, everybody, for being so happy on Monday.
It's vodka. In a recent interview with David Fincher, the Gone Girl director confirmed that he was indeed in talks to direct Star Wars Episode VII shortly after the purchase by Disney was complete. Fincher said he met with producer Kathleen Kennedy, but that ultimately he didn't think it was a fit, saying the following. I always thought of Star Wars as the story of two slaves, C-3PO and R2-D2, who go from owner to owner, witnessing their master's folly, the ultimate folly of man. I thought it was an interesting idea in the first two, but it's gone by Return of the Jedi. John, would you have liked a David Fincher Star Wars film?
Oddly enough, no, actually. We've been talking about Fincher a lot the last couple weeks, so you've heard me spew on and on about how awesome David Fincher is. He's awesome. I love him. But I also love Judd Apatow, but I don't want Judd Apatow directing Godfather 4. You know, it's just, I think of Fincher, and I just don't see that as a fit, you know what I mean? And then listening to him quote, I see Star Wars as a story of two slaves who are witnessing the things
Right.
are very interesting perspective that only Fincher would think of. And look, let's face it, would he make a good Star Wars movie? Yeah, but would he make a good Star Wars movie? I don't know. Maybe. Look, I wouldn't have complained if they had come out months ago and instead of J.J. Abrams said, David Fincher is going to be directing Star Wars, I think we all would have had our minds blown, and I would have been excited to see what he's doing next. But in retrospect, I go, no, I'm totally cool that he didn't do it because I like him doing the films he's doing. And I like J.J. Abrams doing Star Wars. I just think those are better fits. So that's just my thought. Christian, I've been dying to know what you think about this.
I actually, when this announcement first came out that the purchase and all that stuff, and they started rumoring directors, I had thought David Fincher was a guy that was going to rumor up because of his relationship. He started at Lucasfilm working there, so I thought it was very possible. I actually like the fact that they didn't go with him for Episode 7. He's not a right fit for Episode 7 because Episode 7 is to launch us back into the world and start to set up everything. I think he is absolutely a fit for a Star Wars movie because everyone here would be excited if I told you that David Fincher was directing the Boba Fett movie. Like that, in that darkness in that world, there are areas of the Star Wars universe that very well suit David Fincher in the dark area. Even something with Knights of the Old Republic, if you can go back into those areas. That's what's so beautiful now about having this open Star Wars universe is there is every director out there could have, and do I want to see Apatow do a Star Wars movie? Probably not, but there's probably some kind of version somewhere where he could do something interesting too. But yeah, Fincher should do something in Star Wars, but Episode 7 was not the place for him.
Apatow should handle Salacious Crumb's saga.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like the saga of Salacious Crumb.
Yeah. Seth Rogen plays a Marine guard.
I can't even do it. So, I agree with you. I think Fincher on Star Wars proper would be a weird thing, especially with him talking about that weird perspective. Yes, it's a tale of two slaves. Like, not, yeah, I guess, sort of, in a weird, abstract way. What do you got? Giant gears and oil and C-3PO crying in a corner? I don't know. But would it work with him doing Boba Fett? Sure. I mean, I could see Fincher sprinkling his Fincherness on that, you know? Can any director now have a say in a Star Wars segment or something like that? Or part of their expanded universe, whatever it becomes, like whatever that's not canon now, eventually will get rolled in. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities, but I'm a little relieved, especially after hearing that. It's sort of like when David Lynch was like, I don't think I'm going to be doing the Return of the Jedi. You're like, okay, just do your thing. I like your thing. This is another thing, its own thing. So.
Speaking of Fincher, we should mention too that we're going to be doing an AMC spoilers review of Gone Girl, which of course opens in AMC theaters everywhere this week. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, what's next?
The comedy duo Key and Peele are in talks for several movie projects at the moment, and it looks like the one furthest along is a movie they'd call Substitute Teacher, based on the skit where Keegan-Michael Key plays Mr. Garvey, a hard-nosed inner-city teacher substituting in a predominantly white high school and consistently mispronounces the students' names. The duo are currently in negotiations with Paramount to bring the film to screen. Christian, would you like to see a Substitute Teacher movie?
Look, I'll be honest, I've never seen a lot of Key and Peele stuff. I know they're really popular. They're hot right now. They just literally were the editors of the latest Entertainment Weekly. These guys are hot. Everyone's trying to get them to do stuff. I've seen a few things here and there, and it's funny. Right now is time to capitalize. When you're hot and you're doing things right and people are liking what you're doing, sure, I think it sounds funny, and I would probably have to catch up a little bit more to say whether or not I'm excited about it or not, because I don't know. Just to be ignorant enough, I don't know enough about them. So it sounds like a funny premise.
Okay, Rich-chan.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this skit, I think, other than mispronouncing the
Basketball?
No, I think it was football.
Football.
The football name skit, which is still my favorite one they've ever done. This has to be my second favorite one, in as far as just how purely hard it made me laugh. Like the moment he says, "Hey, Aaron," I just lost it. I just completely lost. These guys are really great. Now, I don't love every skit they've done, but there's no kind of variety show thing that you're going to love every skit. Even in Saturday Night Live's heyday, you're not going to love everything they did. But they're cracking up some really good stuff, and they're making another movie with Judd Apatow that apparently they scrapped, and now they're starting that over from scratch. And they're looking at doing other things. And I think Peele is talking about he wants to direct some horror movies, and these, you're right, they're hot right now. And it is weird to think about how do you take this 3-minute skit, stretch it into an hour-and-a-half movie. I don't know, but I'm in.
Well, Wayne's World did it.
Yeah, Wayne's World did it. Yep.
Yeah, it was great to see those guys in Fargo, like little cameo bits in there. They're hilarious, funny, and I'm all for seeing them jump into the feature film world. So I think it's a great fit too to do a sketch similar to how Saturday Night Live would develop sketches and things like that, and then turn them into feature films. That's what they're going to do with this. So.
You know, I like too. I was reading that Entertainment Weekly thing, and who they chose to interview, like the people who have inspired them, was Mr. Show. And the second you interview David Cross, Bob Odenkirk, and that's where you're going. It's not the Saturday Night Live road, and you're going Mr. Show. I'm a fan, and I haven't even seen your stuff. I love Mr. Show.
Yeah, Mr. Show is the best.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do you got?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has confirmed that he is attached to the upcoming film franchise, The Jansen Directive, based on the novel by the late Robert Ludlum, who also created the Bourne Identity series. Johnson also confirmed that Academy Award-winning writer Akiva Goldsman is writing the script for the film. The Jansen Directive follows a decorated U.S. operative who must go on the run when a mission goes wrong. Jeanette, buy or sell the sounds of The Jansen Directive?
You mean the screenwriter of Batman and Robin? He's right. No, hey, everybody has some. He's done a bunch of incredible screenplays. So yeah, I buy it. I think, and it's good to see The Rock get in on the franchise of detective spy world stuff. So,
Christian,
I sell it just by that is because it just sounds exactly like Bourne. It sounds like even the name, the Jansen Directive, the Bourne Identity. It sounds.
Well, it's written by the same guy.
I know, but it's exactly. But it just sounds like the same thing. It could be incredible. It could be set up really.
Christian, it's got The Rock in it.
He just did Hercules, my good friend. But I love The Rock. And am I going to be excited to see it when it comes out? Probably. Right after the announcement of Matt Damon kind of coming back, I don't even know if that's official, but it seems like going back to the Bourne with Greengrass. Capitalizing on it. Maybe they do a crossover with it. I don't know. It just doesn't excite me as much.
Yeah, I have to buy it though. I'm basically, I like The Rock and the fact that they're going to launch up a new franchise with him as the main protagonist, most assumedly. I like that, but it's Akiva Goldsman. I mean, the guy who wrote Beautiful Mind, the guy who wrote, I think, a tremendously underrated film, Cinderella Man. I just love Cinderella Man. I thought that thing did not get its due at all. And he's done it. And he's done Batman and Robin. Yep, he did that. We won't sweep that one under the rug. But that was a long time ago. So I mean, the fact you're right, it does sound an awful lot like Bourne. Absolutely. I mean, you read it and you think this sounds like Bourne. Other than the fact that it's going to be a female hunter that's coming after him.
Yeah.
This sounds almost identical from the same author and everything. But I gotta admit, my curiosity still piqued. I'm in. It's a buy.
Well, the weekend box office numbers are in, and it was a good weekend to be equalized. The new Denzel Washington film, The Equalizer, took the top spot, making just over $35 million at the box office, far exceeding expectations. In second place was The Maze Runner in its second week, making $17.5 million. In third is the new animated film, The Box Trolls, taking $17.25 million. This Is Where I Leave You comes in fourth with $7 million. And rounding out the top 5 is Dolphin Tale 2, making $4.8 million. John, buy or sell the weekend box office results?
Oh, I'd buy this. I mean, the producers of The Equalizer have to be just tickled. I think the original projections were like around 25 million, which they probably would have been happy with. But I think positive word of mouth got out. I really like Equalizer. I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I like it going in. But I'm also very happy for Box Trolls. Box Trolls was the one I did not think it would crack 15. I thought it would be lucky if it cracked 15 million. I enjoyed that movie, so I liked it better than Paranorman. I really did. I just thought I was just filled with joy the whole time I watched this movie. I thought it was really clever. Sir Ben Kingsley, as the voice of the antagonist in it, Snatcher, stole it. Just absolutely stole it. He's wonderful in it. I really like it. The other ones played out. I mean, Maze Runner's still doing really strong. They're happy with it. Already did the green light. This Is Where I Leave You, kind of hanging in their Soul's Dolphin Tale too. But overall, I really like the results. Schnepp?
Yeah, you know, I've got to get myself to the cinemas. I've got to catch up on all these films, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Box Trolls because it's the second stop motion film that Leica's doing. So it's great, and it's an original film. It's not a sequel. So to see it do so well without any built-in audience already is amazing. So I'm really happy for that.
Christian?
Yeah, I buy these results. They all make sense when you look at them. It's just even that, I really enjoy it. I know I'm in the minority from a lot of the other critics too, but I really enjoyed This Is Where I Leave You. So I'm glad it's hanging in there. I don't think it needs to make so much to make a success as long as it keeps chipping in there.
Yeah.
But The Equalizer having that big weekend, that's awesome. It just shows you the star power of Denzel, man, because I enjoyed it as well. But I just think because what Denzel does as an actor, like that movie doesn't work without him. Maybe Liam Neeson as well too, but that movie works because of his star power. So I like the results.
All right, what's next?
Reports came out last week that Paramount may be interested in bringing back William Shatner as Captain Kirk for the next Star Trek film, Star Trek III. Shatner originally denied the report, but in a recent appearance, he appears to have changed his story, saying the following. So the news is out that they have an idea that they want Leonard and myself. They might want Leonard and myself in it. But I would love to do it, but how do you get me 50 years later into the movie? I mean, how do you rationalize it? I know it's science fiction, but even I couldn't come up with an idea. So that's the news on that. Christian, would you buy or sell Shatner back in Star Trek III?
I mean, I buy it for the nostalgia purposes of it all, in the same way that they made it work for Spock. It seems like it's reaching a little bit too. If you have him in there, it'll be great for the fans. I think it's a lot of fun. I love his comments of like, I couldn't even come an idea with it. Well, don't worry about it, because other people are going to try to figure that out. But I think that, I don't know. It'll be cool to see him. I mean, if they can figure it out. They did it with Spock. Maybe there's another way in the time warp that they're able to have that Kirk made it through also, and he's been hiding out. Who knows what they can do? But so it'd be a nice nod to the classic fans.
Yeah, I sell it enthusiastically. I sell it. Now, actually, I addressed this on Mailbag this past weekend too, because the started floating around. Maybe there's a role for him, but then he denied it. So I said, so it's probably not true. But I said, it could be a fake denial. Turns out it was a fake denial. To me, at the end of Star Trek II, it felt like they were really now ready to say, this is now, we've dealt with what the timeline differences are, we've dealt with all that, and now it's this crew of the Enterprise. It's this new movie franchise. We are now moving forward. And the fact that they only had Leonard Nimoy in there for a very, very short little stint, I think was a testimony to that, ready to move forward. This is now Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto's Star Trek moving forward. This reeks of desperation to me. And nobody loves William Shatner more than me. I think the dude's a god. I think he's awesome. But no, this is bad for your property. This is moving backwards, not forwards. So I got to sell this, if it's true, which who knows.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I mean, honestly, he was like, I don't know how they're going to figure out a story. It's called money. Yeah. It's cash grab. That's what it is. I mean, and they're trying to appease all these deep, hardcore Star Trek fans who are like, I thought Star Trek Into Darkness was a horrible Star Trek movie, and this and that. And I'll be honest, I really liked Star Trek Into Darkness, and I love
So did I,
Star
too.
Trek, and I'm a Trekkie, so I can argue other Trekkies and be like, you know, why are you getting so deep and sweaty about it? Like, well, look at the first 3 seasons, and then look at the 7 seasons. You can argue throughout all of Star Trek's, you know, different series, but what I'm saying is, like, then when they chucked Leonard Nimoy into Star Trek Into Darkness at the very end, I thought that was a cheap shot. I thought they already handled creating this splinter universe, this new pocket universe, whatever you want to call it. They didn't have to go back to the well of old Star Trek.
It felt like, look, everybody, Leonard Nimoy's here.
right.
And he's gonna, now what's in this third one? Are they gonna have like a blue Mercury ball? Like, now we're going to, you know, the warp drive, whatever thing. It doesn't even matter. It's sort of like, just get on with it. And you know, why does it take 7 years to tell a 2-hour Star Trek movie? I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm getting over it already. They should have done a Star Trek series with the brand new crew. I don't know why they're waffling around every 5-6 years. You have one story, and now you're going back to William Shatner. It just seems weird to me. It's a weird choice.
It's the panic button also from the studio, because now they have Orsi, who they seem like they're committing to direct this movie. So, and they don't have JJ directing it, producing it, whatever. But more or less, it's the fact of, what are we going to do? How do we let fans know this is the movie to see? Let's get Shatner. That's what some studio executive probably screamed out. Like you said, it's desperate for them, but it's also, they're not confident in the director. I really don't think they're confident. They're going with them, but I don't think they're confident with them, and they're just going to try to pull everything to get people into the theater.
I want to see Shatner with like really long, flowing blonde hair, because we know it's a cap. So I want him to rock something like Thor. Like, he shows up to save Chris Pine, he's like rocking a super flowing wig.
I should say, if you have never watched, people are talking about Boston Legal again lately because of James Spader and everything's going on. But if you've not watched it with William Shatner as Denny Crane, who won Emmys, like multiple Emmys playing that character, he was one of the best characters on TV, I think, for like 3 years running. You got to go back and watch it. I think it's really great. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, every day we take a couple of your questions from the Mailbag, but also we're going to save a couple of minutes at the end of the episode to take some of your live Twitter questions. So if you're watching us live, we do the show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can start tweeting in some questions to @AMC Movie News. But for now, let's get to the Mailbag questions. So, Ashley, what's in there?
Jessica Mans writes, "Hi AMCers, so I was watching Mailbag earlier and John's thoughts on the rumor of Avengers 3 being split into 2 films. If I understood John correctly, he was saying that there is no Avengers 3 book to be split. But my question is, what about Kill Bill? There is no Kill Bill book, but that was split into 2 films, so why not Avengers 3? Thanks from a grateful fan who watches every day."
Oh, well, thank you for watching every day. Okay, so for those of you who have not seen Mailbag, and we do a show on the weekends called AMC Mailbag, where all we do is take Mailbag questions. This question came up about these reports going around that Avengers 3 is going to be split into 2 films. And what I so calmly try to explain, it wasn't very calm, what I so calmly try to explain is why this is a really stupid notion being floated around is because there is no Avengers 3 to split in half. So the point I made was I picked up a book and I said, look, the final Hunger Games book, what's the last name again? Mockingjay. Mockingjay, that was the final book in the series. They've been doing 1 movie per book, but they were splitting the last book into 2 films. Okay, that's splitting it. Kill Bill was a movie that was originally intended to be written as and shot as 1 movie. And they had it, and then when they had that one thing, they decided, no, we want to make it 2, and they split it into 2. The Hobbit was going to be originally split into 2, but they intended it as 2 films. They wrote it, they started shooting as 2 films, and then decided to split it into 3. There is no Avengers 3. Right, so basically what we're talking about is, are they going to do Avengers 4? And the answer to that question is yes. Now, I've had other people email me since Mailbag and say, well, John, what if they just plan to stretch the story of Thanos over into another movie? Isn't that kind of like splitting it? Well, no. Avengers 1 started off the story of Thanos. Really, the guy behind everything that happens in Avengers 1 is Thanos. So is Avengers 2 just Avengers 1 split in 2 because it's the continuation of the story of Thanos and what's going on? Not at all. So, look, they're going to do Avengers 4, and Avengers 4 may be the continuation story. They may not wrap everything up with Thanos in Avengers 3. And maybe that stretches into 4, but that's not Avengers 3 being split into 2. There's no book out there called Avengers 3 that they're splitting in 2. There's no script out there, finalized script, and in the planning stages for Avengers 3, and at the last second after they've started shooting, they've decided to split it into 2. There's going to be Avengers 3, there's going to be Avengers 4, there's going to be Avengers 5, there's going to be Avengers 6, but none of these are being split into other movies. Anyway, am I missing something here?
I mean, it is possible that the studio is going to do it. I hope that it's not true.
But to be able to do what?
Be able to, because what they could do is they could plan it out. They could plan out if they wanted to say, we want this, if the studio heads say, we need 2 parts for this movie. But
then that's not one movie being split in 2. Right. That's planning their next 2 movies.
But not necessarily. If they were sitting around saying, okay, what is, because they've obviously, Kevin Feige and the whole crew know where the storyline and the arcs for a certain part are going. So if they're sitting around, they're saying, okay, look, so Thanos needs to go here, here, and here. What do we do for, he's going to eventually end up here. And they start talking about all the plot points, and they go, that's a lot for one movie. Maybe we even need to split that into 2 separate movies. Because we don't want to split them out so many years ahead. We want to have them come out year after year. So why not just do Avengers 3 as 2 parts? I don't like it. I understand where that conversation could come in, because maybe they're just they're plotting and saying this is going to really take so much time. I understand where the studios could say, and then we can make a buttload of money on it.
But see, at that point, my premise is still at that point, there is no Avengers 3. There's no script on. So if they go, okay, we want Thanos to end up here, and that's going to take 2 movies to do. Okay, so Avengers 3 is this, and Avengers 4 is this. They're still not, there's nothing they're splitting.
Because that's what I'm saying, is Avengers 4, though, would have to come out 3-4 years later, too. If they're splitting out, I agree. What I'd rather them do is film one long movie, film back to back, film 3 and 4, and then release 4 the way that they do with The Hobbit or something, too. But with splitting it, Avengers 3 Part 1, and leaving it on a cliffhanger, I guess like the last Hobbit movie did as well, too. They could do this because if it's a like a plan, if they're plotting out to say we want to just split it into 2 movies because it's going to be a 6-hour movie or a 5.5-hour movie, we can't release a 5.5-hour movie because the story's so elaborate. Let's just do 2 parts.
See, that's why I think we're underestimating Feige. I think if they have a 6 more hours worth of story or 9 more hours worth of story, they're already planning it as Avengers 3 and Avengers 4.
I hope you're right.
You know,
yeah.
Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back ends with a big cliffhanger, right? Han's gone, Boba's got him, hands cut off, the rebellion's against the ropes. But they didn't take Empire Strikes Back and split it into 2 movies. They planned Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and I think that's what they're doing here. Like, in order to, the whole premise of this is this, for me anyway, is that in order to say you're splitting something in half means you already have to have something planned as one thing. And right now, they don't have something planned as one. They don't even have a script yet for the movie.
Yeah,
anyway.
let me add my 2 cents here. I think it's silly to talk about splitting Avengers 3 into any parts because there are no parts to split in the world of comic books. If you read comic books, there's been like 50,000 different Thanos comic book storylines. There's been hundreds and hundreds of different versions of the Avengers from issue 1 to 500, West Coast Avengers, these kind. I mean, the stories are limitless. So it's not like there's anything to split up or take apart. There are no books to split up. So using that terminology, I think, is just wrong-headed. You can't split Avengers 3 into 2 parts. There is nothing to split. It's simply, is there a 4th one that continues the story? And yeah, the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 7th and the 8th are all going to continue the Avengers. I mean, there's no way to split anything up. It's just a script. I mean, that to me is why the question is really, for comic books, it's wrong-headed. I get it from Mockingjay, you're splitting a book. You're taking something and splitting it in 2 because you've over-filmed stuff. You can't release a 4-hour movie, split it in 2. That makes sense. I don't think that's the case, especially with someone like Joss Whedon writing a super tight movie called Avengers: Age of Ultron. And, you know, they're not even calling it 3 or 4. They're doing it like with a subtitle. So, right. I mean, I don't even understand the question. It's so weird. You know, it's like, how can you split something that's not even splittable? It's a script. You know?
See, I mean, one thing that somebody wrote to me that is a really valid point. They say, okay, so you got Avengers: Age of Ultron. Let's say the next one is called Avengers: Infinity Gauntlet, for argument's sake, right? Avengers: Infinity Gauntlet Part 1 and Avengers: Infinity Gauntlet Part 2. That's a perfectly valid naming system for it, right? And I think that makes sense. But to me, that's still not splitting Avengers 2 and 3. That's just saying, okay, so now this next part of our Avengers story, we had the first part of the Avengers story, the second part, we're moving to the third. That just means there's a 4th part of it. And whatever they name it is kind of irrelevant. See, I only feel that they're splitting it if Joss Whedon, or let's face, I think James Gunn is going to be directing Avengers 3. So let's just go with that for a second. It's make believe. But so James Gunn is directing Avengers 3, and they start directing Avengers 3, and then halfway through the process of shooting it and the script's written, they all sit back and go, like Peter Jackson did when they were doing the Hobbit films, sit back and go, you know what, there is too much here. Then that's splitting it.
Right.
But if they're planning it as successive movies, it's not splitting, it's just planning the next chapter.
Right.
I don't know. You know what, the reality here is, I think 90% of what you and I are talking about is the same thing, just different semantics.
We both don't want it to happen.
And we both don't want it to happen. We want part 4.
Yeah.
But I think this is, for a large part, I think this is partly semantics. Anyway, what's next?
Jake Berlin writes, ever since watching the first show with Kevin Feige, James Gunn, and Chris Pratt all in studio, your show has been my daily hook. My question is about next month. From my count, there are at least 5 movies that look, and from early reviews, are unbelievable. With Gone Girl, Birdman, Whiplash, Nightcrawler, and Fury all on the list, could October end up being the best month of 2014? Thanks for taking the question. Keep up the awesome work.
It absolutely could. It very well could. But I got to say, at this point, I've only seen one of the films on the list. So it's very difficult. I can sit back and say, man, these look great. I cannot wait to see Gone Girl. I'm seeing that on Thursday night, and then we're going to do our review for it. I'm hearing great things about Nightcrawler. Birdman, a lot of people are saying Michael Keaton Oscar for Birdman. Whiplash is incredible. So, I mean, yeah, this very well could be the month. It could be. Have you guys thought of anything else?
No, I mean, obviously, but for me, still, Interstellar is the one I want to see the most. That's November.
Yeah.
But October, I mean, we picked up. Beginning of September was tough. And then the end of September really started to kick in, and this is where we start to get the quality stuff. But yeah, everything that's coming out in October, you're just like, give me more, give me more, give me more. I'm going to see like 6 things this week, and I can't wait.
No, I agree. I'm super excited about October. I haven't caught up for September yet, so it's going to be movie madness for October.
You've had a lot of cons you've been at.
Yeah, but I'm really, really excited about Birdman. Just watching that trailer makes me giddy. So I'm excited about Gone Girl. I mean, all of these films that they just listed off, Fury, Nightcrawler, it's just, I can't wait for October. And then we got Interstellar. I mean, it's a great next couple months. So.
All right, folks, so we said we'd leave a few minutes for a couple of Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. So, Ashley, what's going on in the Twitter sphere?
Sam Curtis writes, hey guys, love the show. Who do you want to see on the Suicide Squad, and should Batman be involved?
No, Batman won't be involved. There's no way that Batman's going to be involved. And quite frankly, you know how big I am on this DC universe and all that kind of stuff. To be fair, I almost got to remove myself from the discussion. I don't care about Suicide Squad. Don't care about him. So that's just me being honest. I'm not dissing you. If you love Suicide Squad, I'm not dissing you. I'm just saying I don't care about them personally. What do you guys think?
I don't know enough about it, so I really want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I have not been reading the new Suicide Squad. I remember reading it like 15 years ago. And it was kind of a fun little like offshoot, group of characters that couldn't handle their own book were chucked into the Suicide Squad. Like, throw Deadshot in there. And, it's like now the newer version, they have Harley Quinn, I believe. So it's like, for me, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not that excited. When they announced the Suicide Squad as a movie, I was like, all right, well, okay. Couldn't they have done? They've only got like 100 other characters.
What was that old classic? I'm killing myself here because I'm forgetting the name of it. The one with Bronson and Kelly Savalas, and where they get all these convicts who were facing life in prison. They say, okay, you're going to get your freedom, and not Great Escape. You're going to get your freedom if you go do this impossible mission. Remember that? And it was in World War II, and it's killing me. Guys, help me out in the chat board or something. Help me out here. What's the movie I'm thinking about? But it's Suicide Squad sounds like a really cool rendition of that. And if it is David Ayer who's directing Fury, if it is him directing,
Dirty Dozen.
Thank you very much. Dirty Dozen. Excellent film. If it is him directing, that raises the interest a bit. So if they do kind of play off Dirty Dozen a bit and go that kind of a tone into a feature film with the sensibilities that Ayer can bring, could be interesting. Could be, but my starting point is not a lot of interest.
Well, they mentioned as far as the question about Batman. No, but if they do bring in Harley Quinn, then maybe that's a way to introduce her, and then that's how you get her into it.
That would make sense, and that's but that's the only reason I think they're even talking about Suicide Squad is because of the newest recent relaunch of it. So.
All right, let's take 2 more really quick.
All right, Brandon Polk writes, should the classic movie The Warriors be remade, and would you go see it?
Yes. I think it's one of those movies that is actually ripe for a remake. I think you could do something, but it so depends on the tone you're going for and
Yep.
which direction you go. Because there's a way that a Warriors remake could go real bad, real fast, and real cheesy. But I'd be very, very interested in seeing a remake and what type of a take certain directors would take with it. So I'd be in.
You could go dark and you can go extreme comedy with it if you wanted to as well too. So there are definitely two different ways to do it, because the 80s version, you watch it, it's great, and it's extremely dated, obviously. But there was that tone fit that movie back then. So there's just two ways to do it. It's either the extreme comedy version or going really dark in a different way with it.
I would love a Warriors remake, but I also absolutely love the original Warriors movie. It's such a fantastic, fun film. It is dated because it's a part of its time, but how I would do a Warriors movie is like just set it a few years in the future, sort of like the Purge Anarchy, where you can have the baseball gang, and you can have these weird gangs, and nobody has cell phones anymore. You just have to kind of get rid of our communicative technology that exists right now, because they would be like, yo, just get me Lyft, you know? They wouldn't have to be worrying about the trains. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, I'm in a Lyft, where are you at? You know, and then the guy's like on the phone, Warriors, you know, whatever, dude.
FaceTime.
You know, burners. You gotta get rid of that technology in order to make that really fun and tense. Like, we're like all alone, you know? So, but I love that film.
All right, last question of the day.
All right, Travis Lynch writes, hey AMC, what celebrity would you love to interview most that you haven't yet?
Steven Spielberg. That's the one guy left on my list, is Steven Spielberg. I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to happen either.
I would say David Lynch, because I mean, though he didn't do Return of the Jedi, he's one of my favorite filmmakers, and I love his sensibilities.
Right now, it would definitely be J.J. Abrams for me.
All right, folks, so that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of AMC Movie Talk. We appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us every single day. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater, showtime, and of course your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. I want to thank, first of all, the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my right, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you online?
Twitter, Instagram, at Christian Harloff.
And of course, the one and the only Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
Twitter, Instagram, at John Schnepp, and at TDOSLWH.
And a lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you online?
Twitter, Instagram, at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
And of course, you can find me on the various social media networks just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.